Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing my testimony, and if you're new to my channel or you're not a Christian and you don't know what testimony means, it pretty much just is your story, and I'm just going to be sharing with you my story on my faith and what my life kind of looked like and what ultimately led me to choosing Jesus and just kind of my relationship with God throughout the years. Super excited to do this video, but also really nervous. I don't know why. I think it's because this happens to me a lot, but whenever I'm about to do something really good or I feel like God's pushing me to do something, I get really nervous and shaky, and I feel like that's happening, but I think that's a good sign. I'm super excited for what I'm going to be doing on my channel and just more Christian videos and being open about my faith, so I thought my testimony would be a good start to this. And I just want you guys to be able to hear my story. And what's funny and kind of ironic is I didn't even ever really think I had a testimony. I never thought I would be able to make this video because I always thought that I didn't have a testimony. And the reason behind that is because I grew up in a Christian home with amazing parents and amazing family. I'm so completely blessed. It's just crazy to think that I have parents that truly resemble and reflect what godly and loving parents are, who love each other, and I never have any hesitations about that because I know a lot of people don't have that. And I'm so fortunate and blessed to have that and to have siblings who all love each other and we get along, and obviously we fight, but I've had a great home life. My parents are in campus ministry. My dad's a pastor at University of Michigan to college students, so I've grown up in the church my whole entire life. I have vivid memories of me walking into my dad's closet and him just praying when I was 2 years old and just crawling on him and wondering, what is he doing? He's in a dark closet praying. But those memories really shaped my life, and me just knowing that my parents have a relationship with God. And I always looked up to them and admired that, and I wanted that, but I never really fully understood it or had it for myself. Since I've known who Jesus was and heard his name growing up all through my life, his presence was definitely known to me, and there's been many times that I experienced God. But it wasn't up until recently that I really just fully committed myself to him and developed a personal relationship myself with him, not just because my parents have one or because I wanted one or I thought that was right, but because I realized that he is the true living God and I want to worship him and have a relationship with him. But I think those little experiences that we have all lead up and build up to our end testimony and our story is never changing. It's constantly growing. I could do another video in 2 years called My Testimony, and it would just be an add-on. It's constantly growing and changing. I remember the time when I was little when I first accepted Jesus into my heart personally, and it was a different experience than what I've had recently, but it was still me acknowledging and realizing that God was real, but I couldn't fully understand it because I was in 4th or 5th grade. But it was at a VBS, and which is a vacation Bible school. It's a summer program that churches will put on, and you play games and you have little teachings or whatever. So during one of the teachings, the pastor was talking, and I was listening, but not really because I was in 4th grade. And at the end, he did an altar call, and he's like, if you'd like to accept Jesus into your heart, come up to the front and just pray and ask him, and we'll do a little prayer together. And nobody was really going up, and I was at the church. It was my best friend's church, so I was sitting with her, and she wasn't really going up, and I was just my heart was beating super fast, and I knew I had to go up, but I was just I didn't want to because nobody else was. And then I just felt I had to go. I felt myself, all of a sudden I was walking to the front, and I was wow, I'm doing this. So that was the first time where I just really felt God's presence and him calling me to do something, and I chose to do it no matter what I was thinking. I went and did what God told me to do. That's something that in the moment I didn't really know was huge, but I can't forget it, so it's definitely a part of my testimony. So that was my childhood. Grew up in church, knew who Jesus was. I did love him. I wanted to have a relationship, but I just didn't get it yet. I was just thinking about this yesterday, and it kind of clicked for me, and that's when I was I need to make this video. I realized what I was going through and why the choices I made were the choices that I made. So growing up as a Christian, and if you are one as well, you'll definitely know that throughout life there's ups and downs of your faith. And that's okay, but I would have parts of my walk and journey with God where I'd have high ups and then lows where it just seemed like I wasn't even choosing God at all. And I didn't really tell people. I didn't tell my parents at all. I talked to about my friends, but I would kind of fake it that I was still doing good and I was choosing God first. And I personally believed that I was. I thought I was choosing God, but my actions and my mind and what I was thinking, it was not choosing God. He wasn't my priority. For this video, because it's specifically what's on my heart right now, I'm going to talk about one struggle that I've specifically dealt with, and that is with boys. Since I was little, I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always wanted to have kids. I just love relationships. I love love. I'm just that kind of girl. And I was quite boy crazy. One of the main things that my parents focus on is purity. Like, they talk about that with the college students that they work with all the time, because they know that's one of the hardest things that we have to face nowadays. And it just goes completely against what's natural and what the world is telling us. Just purity is so difficult. So I grew up knowing what it means to have a pure heart, but not really fully understanding it myself. I heard so much talk about it. I was equipped, you could say. I knew everything about it. I was poured into, but it was still something that I struggled with. I also had a problem with fear and not really trusting in the Lord or the future plans for my life. If a boy came around and I just got super excited and was like, I'm just gonna go into this because I like him, I feel comfortable around him, he's cute, and I'm gonna pursue it, and who knows, like, this could be the guy that I marry. Like, I literally thought that. Or like, I remember every church camp I'd go to, I'd be like, will I find the boy that I marry here? Like, it was just always at the forefront of my mind. But that led to problems because I was just rushing into things, not praying about it, not thinking about it from a spiritual perspective or really rationally at all. I would just jump into things with boys that I didn't really think about or couldn't even really be realistic, or they weren't really husband material for me. So this didn't happen a ton of times, but with like 2 boys in particular, I just jumped into something and it led me into sin because I wasn't doing it the right way, and we didn't have our focus on God. It was not in the light. I was hiding it, wouldn't tell anybody about it. It wasn't like a public thing. I wasn't like in a public relationship. It would just kind of be a little thing behind the scenes. But in my mind, I was like, this could work out. Like, I was thinking that it would, but it wouldn't. Like, I was hiding it. I wasn't telling anybody about it, and it was just not good. So this little like 2-month relationship, that was the first time that I really messed up with a guy. Was in in December of 2015. So the year of 2016, after I made this decision to stop that relationship and just pursue God, 2016 was amazing. Like, full-fledged pursuing God. It was great. I was reading my Bible all the time. Then 2016 ended and 2017 started, and I thought I would never make the same mistakes that I did with the previous boy again, but it happened all over again and a whole lot worse. And I'm not going to go into all the details of it right now because it is super long, but 2017 up until like October, I'm going to cry. It was, oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Okay, 2017 was by far the worst year of my life, and I'm crying because I'm so extremely happy and blessed for the way that it turned out, and realizing, and just realizing God's faithfulness, and I'm just reflecting on like all the promises that He's made and how they've come to pass. Oh my god. I'm going to sum it up super quickly, but 2017 I was in a relationship with a boy from YouTube that was just over FaceTime. My friends knew about it, but not my parents. Like, I didn't tell them at all. It was sexually impure, like emotionally abusive. I would cry every single night. Just terrible. Like, terrible. I got so into it that by the end of it, I was constantly lying about it and didn't even realize that I was lying. I'm the type of person that can't lie. Like, I don't know, Satan just got a foothold of this, and yeah, like, I thought I was going to marry this guy, and I went into the program Form that I'm in, which is a missional discipleship group, and I went into this program in this relationship but didn't tell them that I was in it. And I'm a super open and honest person, so after like literally a month into the program, less than that, I ended up sharing what was happening, and I even told my parents I was going through a super hard time because they're obviously not encouraging that at all. And it's crazy to think that God led me to the program Form that I was in, and the people that I would be talking to, and just the positions that I was in, and the decisions that I'd have to make that I had no idea that I'd have to, but it would completely change my life and form me into who I am now. So like I said, I talked to my mentors and stuff in Form, and they told me that I had to end the relationship because it was not honoring to God. And I knew it wasn't. Like, my soul knew it wasn't, but my heart was telling me that it was good and that I could fix things and change what was sin and just make it work. But then God really started speaking to me, and He told me, like, you need to end this, Emma. And it was the hardest thing ever. Like, it was so hard to do. Like, but I was faced with a super big decision, and I had to end the relationship or I couldn't like continue this program. And that seems super harsh, but I think that's exactly what I needed to do. I just had to get out of that relationship, and God knew that the only way that I was going to be able to do that was if I had that like crazy ultimatum. And luckily, and he knew that exactly, so he had been speaking to me and telling me and preparing my heart for the decision that I was about to make. And I did, and I ended that relationship in October of 2017. And then I just full-fledged went into pursuing God, because that was the first time that I actually had to make a decision for myself. And it was a hard decision, the hardest decision that I'd ever made, and it affected my future. It was the first time that God really spoke to me, and I chose to listen to it. And it's crazy to think now all of the good that's come out of that decision that was so hard in the moment, but all of his promises through that are just insane. Like, this year was amazing. This year I got to learn what it means to actually pursue a relationship with God, and that he is one that speaks to us clearly. Like, but you just have to listen. You have to get into your personal Bible times with God. You have to just shut up your head and just listen for him. And he speaks to you. And when you make those decisions to listen to what he's saying and actually follow them and do them, oh, it's incredible. This year I learned what it was like to actually have God be your friend. Because I never really saw him as that. I wanted to, but I didn't really understand it. And this year I really got on that level with him. But I also just realized yesterday that I learned to revere him. I was able to see his holiness and his goodness and his greatness, and that he is the great I am. Like, fully understood that he's the one who was, who is, and who is to come. Like, I understood his holiness, and that's the reason that I can't just go in those ups and downs anymore. Like, when I'm faced with choices that I can choose to either go into my temptation or to sin or to choose God, I have to choose God, because he is holy and he is to be revered. But he is also my friend, and he loves me, and he provides me with immense grace, and he gives us what he promised us, and oh, it's so good. And so that's why I know that even though I'm going to have ups and downs, and I'm going to be faced with struggles and temptations and sin, I'm going to choose God, and I'm not going to go down to that low. I'm not going to go that low again. And that scared me, because I had times where I was low and then I would be high with God, and then I went right back to low again. And I'm like, I can't have that happen to me again. But this year, since I've fully understood who God was and made it my own personal decision, I think that has forever changed. And since my main like sin, struggle, and temptation always had to do with boys, it's just, I'm so excited to see what the Lord is going to do with that, and how he's going to use those struggles, and how he's going to help me overcome those struggles, and I'm already overcoming them, and how he's going to be able to use me to teach other girls and help other people with that. And I'm so excited to like make videos about what I've learned, and that I can be pursuing a relationship now that is honoring to God, and have a man that leads me and shows me the way that Jesus loves me and the way that Jesus wants us to pursue relationship. And it's so amazing to be able to do things the right way. And even though you go through stuff that are bad or it's hard, it contrasts so much with when you experience the good, and it makes you just so much more grateful. If you relate to me and you went through a bad relationship, or you dealt with sin, which I'm sure obviously we all have, but more so sexual sin with guys, like, you can be redeemed from that, and you can be in an amazing relationship, and you can be pure, and you can have a pure relationship that honors and glorifies God, and he wants that for you. That's why he has provided and blessed me with people in my life, and a boyfriend that wants the same for me, and guides me and leads me together in partnership towards that, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm just so thankful for all that God has done in my life, and just being able to see what he's done when I really didn't think that he was doing anything. It's crazy to think that the times in my life that just didn't make sense at the moment, I was like, why is this happening, God? It all leads back up to now, and what he overall had planned for me, and like what was part of my story and my testimony. And if you're somebody that thinks that you don't have a testimony because you grew up in a Christian home, you do. You definitely do. And my story may not be as dramatic or life-changing as some people, but it is my story, and it led me to my faith and choosing God as my Lord and Savior. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it just feels so good to film, and just a fresh start to my channel. I was nervous but ready to do this because I was ready to be open, and I didn't want you guys to have a wrong idea of me, or thinking that like I'm perfect or I have it all figured out, because I don't, and I'm still learning. But God is a God of grace, and he's a God that teaches us and he speaks to us. And that has just proven to be true to me so many times. And I'm just excited to take what I've learned and what I'm going to be learning and just share it with you guys. and we can learn together and grow together, and I'm so excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what else you'd like to see, or kind of what really spoke to you in this, or what you can relate to in it, and I would love to just chat in the comments. I need to end this video because I've been talking forever. So I'll see you guys in my next one. Love you all. Bye!